I will start recording the session just so that you can revisit it afterwards, or we might have some people who are not able to join us tonight that would like to watch it later on. My name is Stephanie and I'm from the International Office at Absalon. With me today is also my colleague from the International Office, Annemette. We have the head of studies from the Department of Teacher Education, Rani. We also have a student from the Department of Teacher Education, Ines. Then we have Jette from the admissions office, and we have Peter, who is from the student counseling. So we will be talking you through the program today and admission requirements and so on, and look forward to interact with you. The way it works here in Zoom webinar, if you haven't participated in that before, is that you can see us, but we can't see you. We have a Q&A function in the bottom where you're able to type any questions you might have, and we'll answer them, of course, either in writing or we will do it speaking. So we'll just take them as we go along and answer as we can. There's also a chat function, usually in Zoom webinar, but that will be disabled now. So you will not be able to use that. You can only use the Q&A function. We are supposed to carry on until 9 o'clock. We'll do that if there are questions and so on. We can also go a bit over 9 if the questions are just overwhelming. We'll see. This is the first online Q&A I'm hosting, so I hope you'll bear with me if we have any little hiccups, but I'm hoping that everything will just go smoothly. And then actually, before we get more started than this, I just wanted to put in a little poll here to see where people are joining us from. So if you would just answer here which country you're from, and if you don't find your country on the list, just press other. Unfortunately, for some reason, I'm only able to put in 10 countries, so that was a bit limiting, but I hope you'll just give us a quick answer here. Okay, we have Hungary represented, Greece, Germany, Spain, Bulgaria, a bunch of others. And now I'm curious about the others, of course. So what I'll just do quickly is that I will go back into the chat and let you right there, if you want to, where you're from, just for my curiosity's sake. Then I'll close it again in a little bit. So the first thing I'll do is just to share a bit more about Epsilon. Whoop. This is the program for tonight. I just did a bit of it, brief welcome, presentation of the panel. Then I'll just provide a short introduction to University College Absalon, our size and scope in Denmark, and then the people from our honors degree will take over and present the program. We'll of course talk about student life, what campus is like, the admission requirements, and then as we go along, you can type your questions in the Q&A function. University College Absalon is one of 7 university colleges in Denmark, and we offer professional bachelor degrees. So they are largely practical and theoretical. All of our programs have quite large practical placement sections so that you get a lot of hands-on learning along with your theoretical knowledge. This little map that you see here is just showing the region of Zealand. That's the one where Copenhagen is as well. So we're quite close to Copenhagen. And our campuses are spread into the entire region. So we cover quite broadly and in a lot of different fields. So teacher education, social work, and a lot of healthcare programs as well. I think that's all I'm going to say now, and I will let Lenny take over with her presentation. So I will just stop sharing my screen.
Yes, good evening. My name is Lonnie Stahl, and I'm head of studies for the teacher education located in Vordingborg. And as part of our teacher education, we have an international program, which is a 4-year program, and it's a bachelor program, Bachelor of Education. It's an honors degree, which means that it entails 270 ECTS points, 30 ECTS points more than the regular teacher education would entail. During the course of the 4-year program, you will specialize in 4 teaching subjects. You will have 3 teaching experiences, of which 1 is abroad. There are, of course, possibilities for international exchange, and instead of a teaching experience abroad, you could also have, or as well as, you could have a semester abroad at one of our partner universities. Classes require a high level of personal attention and innovation. That's it. Yeah. Here you see an outline of the structure of each semester. In the first semester, you will start your first teaching subject, which in all cases is English. Everybody that studies the program has to have English as their teaching subject. Then each year you can see that you will start 1 module of the teaching subject in the autumn, and then you will complete the teaching subject in the spring semester. And it includes 3 modules of the teaching subject as well as a cross-curricular module. And you will do that each of your years of study. And we have a couple of subjects from which you can choose, but it's also organized this way so that you are able to take a semester abroad in the spring and complete a teaching subject at another university. As a glue tying the education together, we have a number of pedagogical subjects or modules. We have general education and teaching in educational practice. We have pupils learning, and you will learn about how pupils or how young children learn. And then you will go on to year 2, and you will be taught some general teaching competences. We will look at curricula, which is where we look at various curricula from international programs that are different than local programs. We will explore academic writing and literacy. We will look in the 3rd year at various research and academic working methods. And at this point, you will have to present a portfolio where you start gathering together things that you have done during the course of your education so far. And there will be this test. Then we have bilingual education, how to teach bilingual students. We carry on more in depth with research and academic working methods as a preparation for your bachelor. And we also have a module that works with inclusive education. And then in the final semester, you will produce a bachelor project, and we have various workshops that leads on to this project. I don't know if there are any specific questions to this.
Before you move on, we have a question about foreign language learning. Someone is asking if it's possible to learn French.
We do offer French as e-learning. Unfortunately, we haven't had any students taking this subject as yet. But it is a possibility. So if there are enough students that choose the subject, then it's open. The thing is that we have to have a specific number of students before we can start up a class. So every time we ask students to choose between our subjects on offer, we only what you can say, we only start up the classes where we have enough students, because if only 2 students are choosing a subject, you are not getting very much out of the learning, because we have a lot of cooperative learning and various other methods that require more students present in a class. Okay, so I hope that answers that. I'll move down. So at the moment, we offer science, history and social geography, physical education and health. We offer German, and that will be studied together with Danish students. We may also offer religious studies and art. That is very dependent on how many students are choosing the subjects. And then we have a really interesting program, which is in collaboration with our Swedish partner in the southern part of Sweden, where we offer, together with this university, we offer mathematics. And that entails 1 module studied in Denmark, a module studied online, and 2 modules studied as a semester abroad with our partner in Sweden.
And Lani, actually, now you're talking about Sweden, there's a question whether the entire education is taught in English or if it's split between English and Danish. Do you want to maybe answer that?
Yeah. As a student, you can choose really from all our subjects, but these subjects that I've listed here are the ones that are taught in English. All the pedagogical subjects are taught in English. English is, of course, also taught in English. But all other questions are, all other subjects outside these are taught in Danish. Okay.
And then I just see another one. Can any subject be requested to be taught?
In English, no. We have a limited number of teachers or lecturers who are willing to teach in English. So we have this selection where we have very experienced teachers or lecturers, and therefore we are able to offer these ones to the right quality of language. I have some problem. Oh, it's coming here. Okay, so you also have to do, excuse me, you also have to do teaching experience, and there are 3 levels. So it's a progression, and the first year it's between, well, all the teaching practices takes place between the semesters, and they have 10 ECTS and a test, and they are typically 6 weeks. The first one will take place at a local Danish school, so that you will get the flavor of being abroad and studying in Denmark. And then you have to meet some Danish pupils. Pupils in Denmark, they start learning English already from grade 1, so it's not a problem taking in foreign students. In the second year, you will go to an international school abroad, or if you're more interested in seeing different types of schools, special schools or other types of schools that we have here in Denmark, this is also possible in the second year. And then in the third year, you will visit one of the international schools in Denmark for your teaching practice or teaching experience. Yeah, are there some questions to this?
You have a few. The first one is, why are some subjects in clips? I'm not sure I understand that question.
The ones in brackets, probably. Yeah. That's because because we are deciding which ones to actually offer. It's also a question of how many students we have in the international profile, because, as I said before, we have to have enough students to start up a subject. So it may not be possible to have all of the subjects. So that's why. Yeah.
And one more, the minors will then be the subjects that a student would be able to teach in the future. Right.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. So all the 4 teaching subjects are the ones that you will be able to teach. So once you have completed your education, you will receive a diploma which says that you are able to teach English plus 3 other teaching subjects.
And then the final one is in regards to Danish language courses, whether they are offered through Epsilon, to which I can answer no, unfortunately not. And in case you wanted to take a subject that would be taught in Danish, or is language learning voluntary?
Yeah, no, as Stephanie said, we do not offer Danish classes. We have tried, I mean, we have been offering this program for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And ever so often we have students requesting that we put on a program in Danish for the students to take the classes. And after 1, 2, 3, 4 times, we are down to 1 or 2 students. And then it's not very viable. So there is an interest, but I think that a lot of students find that the program we have is it's quite demanding. Students are able to take courses elsewhere, which may be offered at more suitable times. And some students work to be able to support themselves. So we haven't really found a very good way to do it. Sometimes it's possible to join some of our practical subjects without actually being able to speak the language. So crafts, music, those kind of subjects, it's sometimes possible to make a kind of a joint class between Danish and international students. Yeah. Did that answer all the questions?
No, we have more.
We have more.
We have one about the semester abroad, but I think you have more slides about that, so I think we'll leave that for a bit. But there's a question about when it will be decided whether, for example, arts will be offered.
Yeah, actually, last week there was a questionnaire that went out to the students, to all the students, Danish and international students, and they were asked to make a priority of which subjects they wanted to choose. And when I see, I will then get a list of how many students have applied to each of the subjects, and on the basis of the number, then I will make a decision on whether the subject will be actually running from the following semester.
Then a few short ones. What is the limit of students that can be accepted into one class?
What is the limit? That rather depends on which class it is, because if it's a class that requires a workshop, then there could be limits to how many students can fit into the workshop, or how many are allowed for safety reasons. So, for instance, physical education, we have 2 not very large physical education halls, and we have to see that it doesn't exceed a specific number. I don't remember the number, but some of our workshops are not so big, so maybe they can only fit 20, and in others they can fit 25. And if you're talking about classes in general, Absalon says that there must be no more than 50 in a classroom, but we have very odd sizes of classrooms. So in some classrooms there can only fit 30 students, and others classrooms can take a little bit more.
This might also be a good time to mention that we, in general, at Absalon and at the teacher education program as well, we have classroom teaching. So it's not usually big auditorium lectures, but more of a one-on-one with a teacher and a smaller group of students. That would be the way classes work. The final question that I just want to throw in here before you move on, Dani, is the age of the children that you will be able to teach after completing the degree here. Yeah.
When the program started, it was aimed at primary school. So that is from age 5, 6 to age, I don't know how old they are in 4th grade, 6th grade, they're about 12, 13, I guess. but it is possible to be able to specialize into older children as well. Then you will be asked to make a choice at some point during the class. So, for instance, there are 3 modules in English, and the first 2 are generic, and then in the last module you'll be asked, do you want to teach primary school, or do you want to teach lower secondary? So it is actually also possible to have the lower secondary add-on, which is right until the age of 15, 16. Yeah, so
all right. You go ahead, Lenny, and then we'll answer some questions in writing.
Oh,
here,
there were some nice pictures I forgot to put on. Okay, so here's the slide about the semester abroad. Yeah, so it's possible to take a semester or more abroad. 1 semester is around 5 months, and it's typically carried out when you are in your spring semester, because we have organized it in such a way that you will take a teaching subject while you are abroad, and then exchange it instead of taking a teaching subject at Absalon. And we have a large number of partners all around Europe. So it is possible to go, maybe not to each European country, but to a lot of European countries for exchange. The teaching experience, well, typically the Danish teaching experience is set as 6 weeks, but in order to obtain the EU grant, you have to be away for 8-9 weeks. So we we try to structure it in such a way that it's possible for you to be away for long enough to be able to receive grants. And it is typically going to be in an international school, as that's what the education is aiming at. And we have a long list of schools that have already been tried out by former students. And we also have partners that can help us sometimes find new schools. But we recommend that you go to a school where we already have some good cooperation and where other students have been before. That way we know that the quality is good. So here you see a list of all the partners. And yeah, it's just a wide range of different countries, from Australia to the United States. Look at it in alphabetic order. Yeah. It's a little bit about the portfolio. If you remember from the structure, you have to do a portfolio test in your 5th semester, and it's a digital professional portfolio, which is a tool where you as a student collect and structure and share reflections in connection to the different competence areas of the education. Each subject or each module is connected with a number of competence areas, and we ask you to collect different material, and especially also when you are doing the teaching practice, you will have some examples that you can use in order to produce and to share how you meet the various competences. And this digital professional portfolio creates coherence through the 4 years of the course, and it can be used as a document for the development of you as a student, from student teacher to a fully competent professional. So it's something that we very much work on it from year 1, and as I said, there's a test in the 5th semester, but it is encouraged that you add on to this portfolio during the whole course of your education. And now I will pass.
Before we move
yes, sorry,
to that,
yes.
No, there's just one question. Someone's asking that they heard at another online presentation from a student that you can, for example, study a course, for example, drama, at a different educational institution. How would that work? And what are the possible subjects? I think that's a very difficult question to answer. But is it possible to do that?
at a different institution in Denmark. I guess
suppose that's the
that's the question. Yeah. If we are not offering a specific subject, then it's possible to do it at the university, for instance. I have had students who've taken different types of courses from Copenhagen University and used it as part of their international education. I had one Arab student who took Arabic as one of the subjects, and but we do not offer Arabic because it's not one of the subjects that are taught in Danish schools. We only offer subjects which are taught in the Danish schools. So if you want another subject, then it's possible to take that elsewhere. It could be that students want to do their native mother tongue language as a teaching subject, and if it's not taught with us, then it's possible to do it in maybe your native country as a teaching subject. Yeah, and I think I'll pass the word on to Ines, and she can maybe talk something about the student life.
Hi, I'm Ines. I'm a student in my third year now at the International Honors Degree of Teaching. And I'm going to tell you a bit about student life and a little bit about the campus that we have here in Vordingborg. So regarding student life, the first big thing that we have quite a lot of is a lot of group work meetings. The way that we work in Danish educations is a lot of problem-based working, project-based working. So it's a lot of practical things and group work because they want it to reflect what your professional environment is going to be like in the future. So you'll be meeting a lot with your groups to prepare assignments or to go over reading for class. And then apart from that, we have something called SMU, which is a student social committee. And they organize things such as Friday Cafe, which is that every Friday they have music, there's a small bar, and sometimes you can play games. They have competitions there, and it's basically they host different events for students to socialize, and you are also able to join the committee if you'd like to. And it's a fun way to create events. This year with Corona, at the beginning of the year, they tried to create a lot of outdoor safe events. So it's quite fun to get to know people that way. And then apart from that, at our university, we have certain clubs, like we have a school band, theater, IT club. There's also been a book club created a year ago. So if there's any club that you'd like to make and you can find other people that want to join it, it's really encouraged to do that at the university. And then apart from that, there's also organized sports like dance, parkour, volleyball. We have a volleyball pitch. So when the weather is good, we organize that a lot, especially between the internationals. And there's also a gym on campus. So it's quite nice to do sports here. And then apart from that, throughout the year, there's different events and parties hosted, not at the moment due to coronavirus. We're currently at home, but usually there are different events throughout the years, such as, intro week, ballroom, semester start party, Absalon football cup, flea markets. And this is for all of the students, both the internationals and Danes, to get together. Even the Absalon football club, there, the different campuses are invited to our campus, and there's a big football competition. And that way you also get to know other internationals from other campuses. So it's, just a nice way to do things. And SMU is also very involved in organizing these events. Yes. And then here I've attached, because at the last Q&A that we did, we had a lot of questions about the student dorms. So I gathered some photos of the different bedrooms. So there's a limited amount of dorms offered on campus. So there tends to be a waiting list. So it's advised to apply early if you're interested in getting a dorm. But I've added a few pictures here. You can see 2 bedrooms. The bedrooms really vary in sizes. So some of them are larger, others are smaller, and the price then varies as well. And in the next slide, I've added also a few more pictures of different bedrooms. And you can also see here at the bottom 2 pictures are the kitchen and the living room on the ground floor. And on that floor, you share the kitchen and the living room with 8 people. So you have quite a large kitchen, quite a large living room. And then on the right, you can see a smaller kitchen, as there's other options where you share it with less people. So that kitchen you'd only share with 3 people. But yeah, just so that you get an idea that there's a lot of different dorms offered on campus. And this way you can see some pictures, since last time some people were curious about that.
Yes, I think this is my cue to tell you a bit about admission and how to get admitted and first of all apply for admission. And when you apply for admission, you have to go to the Danish ministry's website called Optagelse.dk, and the International Honors Degree education is it's a bit special because you have to apply in Danish as well through the Danish and make a Danish application. And at Absalon's website, we have an application guide and a video guide how to apply when you have to go through the Danish website. And very important of all, the deadline is 15th of March at 12 o'clock. And then you have to apply, and then you are able to submit your exam or other qualifications afterwards. It's just very important that you apply before the 15th of March. If you change the slide, Lonnie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The slide is dead. I can't get it to move. I'm sorry. I'll see if I can do it another way. No. Oops, something happened here.
Yes. And here you can see some of the different kind of exams you can have to qualify for admission. And of course, a Danish upper secondary school leaving certificate is qualifying for admission. And there's a lot of other qualifying exams. And as you can see, another foreign qualifying examination certificate can be equated with the Danish upper secondary school. And if you are not quite sure if your exam is fulfill the requirements, I will be able to put I will put a link into the Q&A later, and then you will be able to enter the website and then see if your home exam will meet the requirements for admission. And very important, you also have to have a grade average of minimum 7 on the Danish scale. Otherwise, you will be able to get admitted if you enter an admission interview and get a score above 30.
Yeah, just a quick disruption to you. Someone is asking if they don't have the diploma before March 15th.
Yes. Yes.
Is that a problem?
No, that's not a problem. If you already have applied for admission, then you will be able to wait to upload your certificate until the 5th of July. And then you can wait until that date before you upload it. And if you're not able to upload it before 5th of July, you can contact us, and then we can change the application, so you will be able to get pre-admitted, and then you will hand over the exam document afterwards.
And now talking about that part, someone is asking, when do you receive your acceptance letters?
You will get an answer to your application whether you have got admitted on the 28th of July at midnight, actually.
Yeah, very specific, and that goes for all of Denmark. All
yes.
Higher education institutions, that's when they send out their acceptance letters.
Yes.
We have one more that's a bit specific. I think Jette or Lani, you might be able to add to this as well. If we are unsure if our grade average is under a 7 after being converted, will we only be accepted if we pass the interview?
Yes, it goes for both Danish applicants and foreign applicants that we will, if you don't have a grade average above 7 or 7, you will be invited to an interview, and if you don't pass the interview and get a score on the 30 points, you will not be able to get admitted, and then you will be able to try again next year.
Yeah, and maybe we should just add that most foreign papers, it might not be able to see if the grade is equivalent to the 7.0 score, and you will be invited to the interview anyhow. And the interview is more an assessment of your ability to join a higher education and to read an academic paper, if you have the right ethics and motivation to become a teacher, and the score is assessed on basis of you reading a case and then discussing this case with some interviewers.
And then another question that I think is also good to take now is whether Absalon will convert a grade point average from abroad, or if they have to provide it themselves, the applicants. So a conversion to Danish
yes,
grades.
Absalon will convert both the language documents and also the exams document. It's important that you upload the original language examination papers, and then we will assess them ourselves at Absalon.
Yeah. So after you have enrolled, the fun doesn't stop, because you have to meet an English level, or an English requirement qualification, which is equivalent to what we call the Danish level A. And that's a little bit tricky that we call it A, because actually it's more equivalent to C1 in the European scale. So it has to be a very good level of English that you have to meet. And also, because this is an honors program, we have to follow a special executive order that the ministry has set out, and you have to do a test. And this we have set to be a 3-hour admission test, where we evaluate your written English and your ability to formulate a well-structured argument. So it's a sit-down 3-hour test that you have to do. It usually takes place in October, November during your first semester. Here are some important telephone numbers and times when you are able to phone the admissions office, and the email address as well. And you will obviously be able to go back to see this this webinar and get the contact details if you didn't have time to jot it down now. Special support, I think that would be Peter.
Yes, yes, I will tell you about special support. If you are able to obtain a Danish educational grant, it is possible to seek for special support. And if you have a documented impairment which entails that you need special support in order to complete your education, you can apply for the special support. The purpose of the support is to provide compensation so that students with dyslexia, mental or physical impairment can complete their education at the same level as their fellow students. The special support is provided in the form of IT-aids, mentoring support, support hours by professional support teacher, and study support by reading consultant. And it is the student counselor of the education that helps you apply for the special support. Yeah. And can you change the slide, Lonnie? And if you have any questions about the special support, you can contact me at this phone number or this mail.
Yeah. Are there some questions that we need to answer, Stephanie, before we move on?
Yeah, there are a few about admission, but I think Jette is on it in the Q&A right now.
Okay, super.
There was one about the Ielts test that we might want to just take here, Jette, as well. Yes, the Ielts test is accepted, but I'm not sure what the minimum score is required. Jette looks like she's checking maybe, and she needs to unmute.
Sorry, the Ielts test score at minimum is 6.5.
Perfect. And then actually
Yes.
we'll just take the next one as well, because now two people
Yes.
are asking that if English is your native language, is the test required, or how do you show proficiency?
Yes, we have to have some documentation that you have the competence of the English language. So yes, probably if you will be able to document your that you come from English-speaking language, we will probably give compensate for the documents. Yes, so you don't have to you don't have to document, but it will be best.
So for example, if your diploma shows that you have spent all your high school years in an English-speaking country,
Yes,
that would be something that could
yes.
count in that. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I just noticed, I think that question was about whether, if they're native, whether the English entrance exam is mandatory for them, the 3-hour one.
Oh, the 3-hour one is mandatory for everyone. And that is because,
Thank you, Ines.
Just go back, because it's about your written English, but it's also about formulating a well-structured argument. So, and just because your native language is English doesn't mean that you're necessarily perfect in writing. I can also say that for Danish people, that just because they are fluent when they talk, they may not be very fluent when they write, even if they have attended high school. So, right, so here we have some important places where you can find us. You can go to our website, you can write to us at this special honors degree email here at Epsilon. You can visit our Facebook page, and you can also visit us on Instagram. And yeah, we also have, when you go into those, you can see that what the students are doing, and sometimes they follow a particular student and upload various information that is more informal than what you can find on our official pages.
And I would actually really recommend going to our Instagram page. And if you go back a few months, back in December, we actually had one of our international students from Poland who did her teaching experience abroad as part of the Erasmus program, and she actually brought her son with her. So that was quite a nice story to follow and see like what kinds of possibilities you will have when you are part of this program.
Exactly. And for more specific information as well, you can choose between these people and myself, head of studies. Daughter is new coordinator. She can be contacted as well. And Ines, of course, you've just met. And then you can see more about the program when you visit this website. And I think that concludes.
Then, Lenny, there's a question about how one could prepare for the English test. Do you have an answer for that?
That's a good question. I think that you can, I mean, it's obviously about being able to produce a fluent written language. So check various websites where you can perhaps test your written abilities. I don't know exactly where, but I think maybe some of the language courses, the schools that offer language courses, they sometimes have various tests that you can fill out and yeah, check what your abilities are like, and yeah, practice writing. Get someone that you know who's also good at English to check it. Yeah, more questions?
We have one about the Danish student support SU that I think I'll go ahead and answer. If we are studying abroad and such, would that affect the ability to qualify for SU? Yes, it would. As a European student here in Denmark, an EU student, you're able to qualify for the Danish student support SU, but only if you work 10 to 12 hours a week besides your studies. So that's the only way that that you're able to qualify for it. So if you're not working in Denmark but studying abroad, for example, you will not be able to receive SU.
And we should perhaps say that we don't know what the status of SU is going to be in the future for international students. No. There are a lot of discussions about trying to limit the opportunities because some of the parties at the in our constitution, they are arguing about the large amount of money spent on giving SU grants to international students.
Yeah, it's a bit of a political hot potato at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a question about whether someone can teach with this degree in every country, or do they need a master's degree afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, you could teach everywhere with this degree within EU, because they have to recognize, EU has made a commitment that we recognize each other's degrees. The teacher education or the Bachelor of Education that you get from us also gives you the qualification to teach. So in theory, that should be accepted everywhere. But some countries do have some of their own requirements, so it might not be possible to go ahead and teach straight away. But I would say for primary school, it should be possible to teach in most places. And especially if you keep within the area which we are directing our education, and that's towards the international schools. So it's a little bit different if you think about teaching in a local school in a specific country, or you're thinking about teaching in an international school. Because we have been teaching, or we've been offering this teacher education for almost 10 years, and our students are increasingly getting jobs at international schools, and it's becoming increasingly recognized in the community of international schools worldwide. So, yeah. More questions, Stephanie?
No, there's one that's quite admission specific, so I'll let Jette handle that in the Q&A. But I think also we could maybe add that in addition to all the partner institutions that you showed, Lonnie, in the slide, There are also a lot, those were all universities that you could do a semester abroad studying, but we do of course also have a lot of agreements with schools, specifically international schools around the world, that our students do their practical placements in. Maybe you or Ines could just talk a bit more about some of those, just to give some examples of where one could, for example, go for a practical.
Yeah, I don't know, Ines, do you have, where have you been doing your teaching practice?
So a lot of students, they go abroad and they choose to also go outside of Europe. So a lot of students have gone, even to Asia, to Thailand, to Malaysia, to Tanzania in Africa, or even South America. So the school does have a long list of schools that you can go to. And for me this year, I went to Milan because due to coronavirus this year, we were recommended to stay within Europe because they didn't want us to leave Europe. And I went to a school in Milan, which has been continuously having students come from our university. So then they have it organized in a way where it's a very good learning experience for you as well, since they're very used to having student teachers come. So it's very welcoming, and it's a great experience.
And am I remembering correct? Is one of our former students employed there? Hasna, is she there?
I'm not sure whether it's in Milan.
Oh, okay, but she's in an Italian school as far as I remember that she's employed, isn't it? Do you know Hasna?
No, I think
No.
she graduated before I began.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm not sure.
No, but we have, I can say we have students who are employed in Latvia. We have students who are employed in Transylvania. We have students in Singapore. We have a student, I think 3 students are working in Bolivia now. No, Colombia it is, sorry. So students have found work in a lot of different places, all over the place. And usually you could say that when students come on their teaching practice, this is a very good way of introducing themselves. And so students often go back and find jobs where they've taken their teaching practice.
Thank you. We have a question about if you are a non-EU student, how do you handle paying for studying abroad from Denmark? So if you are a non-EU student, you have to pay tuition with us. If you are doing a full semester abroad, Lani, how does that work? Do you know?
If you're doing the semester abroad?
A full semester, do you then pay tuition at the host institution or still with us? How does that?
We haven't actually tried that.
No.
We haven't tried that, but I'm sure you're not paying with us. So maybe, I don't know how it works actually. Because if you're one of our students, you are eligible to go on an Erasmus program.
Yeah, within Europe, and you wouldn't have to pay for that.
No. So
but
if it's outside Europe, you will probably have to pay the tuition at the partner university outside. But if you are studying with us and you take an EU or an Erasmus study abroad, you will not have to pay for that semester at our university, and you will not have to pay. So that will actually give you a free semester, I guess. Yeah. We haven't tried it, so, no. But I think so.
Okay, Lani, Ines, how hard is it to find a job in Denmark after graduation?
After graduation? That's a good question. That depends, I think, on where you want to work. Some students have found jobs at the international schools in the Copenhagen area. But some students have fallen in love with Vordingborg, for instance, where our campus is located. And that's a little bit harder because we don't have that many international schools close by. At the moment, they're just opening a new school, which is about 70 kilometers, 60, 70 kilometers away from where we are situated. And that's a school that opens in September, or no, August, an international school due to the fact that they're going to build a tunnel from this island to Germany. and they're expecting a lot of international workers and their families to come to this island. So a new international school is opening up.
So that's in Lolland.
So that's in Lolland, yeah, exactly, in Maribor. So the possibilities are there, but it depends a lot on what you are looking for, I would say. It's harder to get a job in a Danish school if you haven't learned Danish.
Okay, so we just had a question, and I see it was also answered in writing, but I'll just do it in speaking as well, so we're sure that it's completely clear to everyone. So if you are a student from the EU, it is free of charge to study in Denmark. Are you a non-EU citizen, you will have to pay tuition. So those are the rules in Denmark. And before that question pops up in a second, no, unfortunately, we do not offer any types of scholarships from Absalon. So if you will have to pay tuition, you will have to find scholarships elsewhere in your home country or through some of the different foundations and so on that offer scholarships, but we're not able to offer any scholarships. And if you would like to know more about the tuition, you can find that on our website. You can see the amounts for every semester there. I will link to that in the chat as well.
And it's not enough to be currently studying in another EU country. You have to be actually registered as a citizen. So you don't qualify if you're already a student, say in Germany, and you come from outside the EU, you cannot transfer to us without having to pay the fee. We look at your where your passport's from. Yeah,
and there's just one more clarification I can see here. Someone is asking in terms of the working and paying. So when we talked about working here in Denmark as an EU student, it is because as the current rules are right now, this moment, but they are currently changing them. So I wouldn't count on anything if I were to apply to Absalon in the fall. But as the rules are right now, if you're from the EU, you will not pay to study in Denmark. And just like Danish students, you would be able to get the student assistant called SU. And in order to qualify for that, you have to work 10 to 12 hours a week. So those are the rules right now.
And I should also point out here that we are situated in quite a small town. So it's not that easy to find jobs in or around where campus is. We have a few student jobs at our campus, but we're talking about a handful of students that help out with various tasks at the school, but we can only have so many students working for us. Most students who work, they have to go to maybe Copenhagen or some of the bigger towns nearby where we're situated.
Then, Lani, we have a question about what the teaching experience is like in international schools. How many hours? What do you do as a student? Do you or Ines maybe want to talk a bit about that?
Well, I can say that the requirement is that you are at the school for 30 hours and that you have, depending on which level, you have, I think it's maybe 10 to 15 hours that you spend teaching. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, Ines.
Yeah, I think it depends the school that you go to and the mentor teacher that you're with. But for example, I did it this year and I was there for a total of 6 weeks teaching. So the first week, more than anything, I observed. And then slowly I began teaching English in the 2 classes that I was in. And then some weeks later, I started teaching English and math. And then eventually at the end of the teaching experience, then I would teach full days with all the subjects, but they did it like that so that slowly your responsibilities increase. And then that way it's not like suddenly a lot, but that was my personal experience at this school. And I know that it really depends on where you go to.
But we have some minimum requirements, and of course there are some competences that you have to meet because there's a test after each teaching practice, and you have to meet these competences, and the schools are aware of these competences, so they have to not only allow you to teach, but you also have to participate in teacher meetings and correspond with parents in some way, take charge of the children during the breaks, and yeah, various different things. So it's an all-round working experience to be in the school. It's not just to do your classes, but it's also to be part of the day-to-day life of a teacher.
A quick question that I'll just go ahead and answer. How far away is Vordingborg from Copenhagen? An hour and a half by train, if you catch the quick one.
Slow one.
The slow one?
It's an hour, the quick one.
Really?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Then
it's been a while since I took the train.
Caught the wrong one. Or caught the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the quick one is 1 hour, and they are hoping to increase the speed when we get new trains and they are improving the tracks. They've been working on that for the last 2 years, I think. Yeah. And actually they moved the station so that it's situated right on campus, more or less. You walk from one side of the platform straight down to our campus. So there's no spare time from when you get off the train.
One for you, Ines, the average monthly cost of the student accommodations.
For the student accommodations in euros, I believe that it's between 200 to 300 euros, depending on the size. Yes.
And that's for the accommodation on our campus. If you have to find accommodation outside our campus, it's a little more expensive, but then you probably also get like your own bathroom and kitchen. And so, I mean, the prices, the more your requirements are, there are also prices that increase accordingly.
So as it is right now, we're at the 9:02 with no questions. I will just say a few things. So if anyone has a last question or two, go ahead and get them into the Q&A now. Otherwise, I would just like to say that once we finish, you should see a link to a survey that we would very much appreciate if you would take the time to answer, just a few minutes. Again, just to give us an idea of where you're from, when you might be considering applying to us. We hope we have furthered your interest in studying with Absalon. And unless any more questions pop in, yes, one more, 3 more, whoa, okay. I think we'll just go ahead right now and do it from the top. So Lonnie, are there any progression exams at the end of each semester?
No, the exams are, there's an exam after you have completed the modules for the teaching subject. So after all the modules that belongs to one teaching subject, you will do a competence exam for that. And for the pedagogical subjects, there is one exam. For the bilingual, there's one exam, and for the bachelor, there's an exam. And the only progressional exams are the teaching practice, where you start at level 1 and move up to level 3, and there are more requirements as you move up.
Then Jette, I guess this one is a bit for you, a bit for me maybe. Someone is asking if you can bring her spouse or child along if you're admitted to the program. I guess that depends quite a lot on whether you're a EU or non-EU student.
Yes, and for a non-EU citizen, you have to get a visa, and that's only for you and for the period that you study. So therefore, you will not be able to bring a spouse or child.
They would have to apply separately
yes,
if you
for
want to
visa.
come to Denmark together. Yeah.
Yes. And I can see the next question is for me as well. And want to know if they can add documents to the application after they have applied, and you are able to upload documents for your application from the time you have applied until the 5th of July if you want to give us some more documents regarding your admission requirements or exams document.
And then the final question of the night, unless more pop in right now. One more. Okay, so one question here is, what documents do you want to have attached? In that regard, I would like to refer you to our website. And maybe you'll just go ahead and quickly drop a link in the chat for people to our website with the admission requirements. So you can see there in more detail which exact requirements there are and thereby which documents you would have to submit with your application. Lani, then there's just a quick question here. How many exams are there per semester?
That depends from semester to semester. After the first semester, there are no exams. And then the first exam for international students will be the test after the first teaching practice. And then there are a couple of exams in the summer after the first year. And each year there will be an exam for the teaching subject, as you do one each year. But it varies a little bit, because then the final exam for the pedagogical modules, I think that was after the second year or third year. And yeah, so 1 or 2 or 3 is there, from 1 to 3, except after the first semester.
All right. Then I think I will finish up now by saying again, we would appreciate if you would answer our survey at the end. Remember that the application deadline is coming up very soon, March 15th at noon, Danish time. So make sure to get your applications in before then if you want to apply to study with us. Otherwise, I would just like to thank you for participating tonight, both the panelists here and everyone asking your great questions. We hope to see applications from you, and thank you for participating tonight. So have a good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.